Welcome, Grandpa banging anchor babies, to Geek Salad's Retro Movie Reviews from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And welcome to Mystery March Madness, where we are going to be discussing various mystery films throughout the month of March.
Yes.
Very much looking forward to this one. There's a lot of great stuff that we're going to talk about. Had to make some adjustments along the way because streaming can be a bitch on some of these. So,
yeah.
Really tried to get this accessible. And we're going to kick this off with, first of all, one of my personal favorite movies of 2019. One of my absolute favorite movies of the last 10 years. And that is Rian Johnson's Knives Out.
Yeah.
All right. I've seen this a couple of times. You just watched it last night, didn't you?
I did.
And?
Really enjoyed it. Really.
Good.
It was not in any way what I was expecting it to be.
Yeah. Because I'm having a conversation with my daughter about this. And, what we loved about this movie was there was really no question as to the whodunit aspect, which is the cornerstone of every mystery. This person is dead. Who did it?
Yeah.
There's very little to no question of who actually did it, but the circumstances leading to that is where the grand mystery begins.
Yeah, that's what kind of threw me off at first. Well, first off, I wasn't totally sure if this was a comedy or not, and it's kind of a dramedy.
There's some amazing comedic aspects of this movie.
Yeah, but also it's maybe 45 minutes in the movie, and okay, I already know how everything about the crime. What's left to do? And then it's the second half felt almost like a thriller type thing until it reveals at the very end that no, there's more mystery.
Yeah, exactly. Now we are gonna go fairly heavy spoilery on here. I think we kind of have to in order to fully discuss this movie. So if you haven't seen Knives Out, good luck finding it. Right now, it's only streaming if you pay for the rental on Amazon.
Yeah, I guess last month I did a search and saw it was on demand. So I'm like, oh yeah, we can absolutely do it. And then a couple of days ago, I checked oh, it's not on demand anymore.
Oh,
so
do you end up renting it?
Oh yeah, $4 on Amazon.
Okay. Yeah, it's not too bad. And also, folks, utilize your local library. I'm a huge advocate of that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we are going to get into some spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen Knives Out, for the love of God, watch it, then come back. Because you are in for an absolute treat.
Yeah.
All right, I think they're gone now. So anyway, this movie is just insane in terms of the dynamic of all the characters. There's a lot of moving pieces here. A lot of people that, are almost, you can almost write them off immediately in terms of their culpability.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely members of the cast that you're almost why are they here? They really don't do anything.
Right.
Sadly, Ricky Lindholm's character is one of those. Half the time I see her on screen, I'm like, "Hey, cool, Garfunkel from Garfunkel Goes here."
Yeah.
Why is she here? I don't know who her character is. I don't know what her relationship is. I just know she's part of the family somehow.
She's Walt's daughter.
Yeah.
No, not Walt's daughter. Walt's wife.
Yeah. Michael Shannon's character.
Yeah, Michael Shannon's character. And that's the thing too, is that it is kind of it gives you this area where it kind of deceives you into thinking that the people that you're forgetting about might actually be, the person who murdered Harlan.
Yeah.
And I think that works really, really well. The fact that there are multiple grandchildren, including Ransom. That's the thing I always forgot. Ransom isn't the youngest of the Thornby children. He is, in fact, the son of Linda. He's Linda's son.
Yeah. And I also do like the fact that none of the family
You know, we already got something. This discussion, the amazing choice of Blanc's accent. Not yet. We haven't gotten that far yet, Kevin, but stay tuned.
Yeah, right now we're still dealing with the family, and it's like none of the family are really good people.
No.
I mean,
and I
suppose
love that about this.
the closest one that might come is maybe Meg, but even she like completely spills the beans to the rest of the family because she thinks she's gonna have no money left.
Right. Yeah. Meg is the only one who, and I feel kind of at the end, Meg might be the only one who might be okay in all this.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there was that pressure on her to make that phone call.
Yeah. And yeah, basically this movie is what would happen if Arrested Development became a murder mystery instead of a.
There's even a Marta in this.
Yeah, and like, I mean, the entire like hell, Joni, she was basically the the sister.
Oh, good Lord. I can't remember her name now. I've been rewatching Arrested Development too. I can't remember her name.
But it's like Joni was like this like self-help guru. What did she do in Arrested Development? Try to do all these like causes to help people.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's the funny thing too, is that Joni's a hanger-on. Her husband was one of the Thornby sons who died.
Yeah.
So she's just kind of there.
Yeah, and double dipping in the most egregious way too.
That's pretty egregious.
Yeah.
But I do love though that they set up plenty of motive. Yeah. They set up the motives for Richard. They set up everybody has a motive. Walt's got that motive. Joni's got a motive.
Yeah.
Ransom's got a motive.
Really? I did.
Okay. It's based on Gwyneth Paltrow. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
Probably why we won't see her in a subsequent installment of this.
And apparently there is like a third one that's due out, according to Wikipedia, this year.
Is that? I have heard nothing about casting. And that's kind of the gem about this movie, is that this movie really revitalized a lot of actors to more of a mainstream thing. I mean, Toni Collette had essentially been doing A24 horror for the past couple of years. So bringing her into this, I mean, Michael Shannon's Michael Shannon. We all love Michael Shannon. But like Don Johnson had been spending his time doing Tarantino movies. Jamie Lee Curtis was pretty much plucked out of obscurity by this point. And now, 4 years later, she wins an Oscar.
Yeah.
But I feel that like the most inspired casting here, getting to Kevin's point here, is Daniel Craig.
I mean, I've heard him do this sort of accent before in Logan Lucky, which is a phenomenal movie. If you haven't seen it, absolutely.
I have not seen it. You keep telling me I have to see it, so I have to figure out time to see it.
It is so good.
But yeah, Blanc. So first of all, what I love about Blanc is that he is so far in the background. At first, it takes Don Johnson saying, "Well, who the fuck is that?" in order to introduce him.
Yeah, I mean, genuinely, I would say he's a supporting character in this movie.
Here's what I love about the character. First of all, I love that Foghorn Leghorn accent, which is alluded to later on.
Yeah.
Funny story, by the way, that the joke that he and Rian Johnson had, that originally in subsequent movies, the accent was going to change.
Oh.
And cooler heads prevailed. He keeps this accent in Glass Onion. But it seemed like it was perfect because Daniel Craig is Bond.
Yeah.
But I feel like while he's able to deduce what happened and just lets people tell on themselves, he's also a guardian angel. I feel in a way that like we don't see in other mainly, we look at Hercule Poirot, as a big kind of like, this is the prototype, this is kind of like an analog.
Yeah.
To Poirot. Poirot is a participant, but he's not a guardian angel in the way that that Blanc is. I mean, Blanc is very kind to Marta. He knows straight off the bat, and he even says so at the very beginning. He knew she was innocent, completely innocent.
Well, he knew that she was involved. I don't know how if he knew she was completely innocent, but I think he knew that she wouldn't have done it on purpose.
Right. Especially when they get to the thing with the vials later on, and just like the slight weight that she was able to like instinctively tell them apart without having to look at the labels. What's really cool too was I think, and I'm fairly certain I'm getting the order right here, that Daniel Craig and Ana de Armas got along so well filming this. She got that scene that kind of won her that scene in
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die. Thank you. Whoa.
Yeah, because No Time to Die was 2021.
Well, it was filmed in 2019.
Yeah,
that movie had a huge delay.
Yeah,
but Ana de Armas' scene was, and their chemistry together was just off the charts in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
They had one of the most fun, one of the more fun action sequences that I'd seen in a long time in a Bond film.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of wanted to see more of her character.
Yeah,
I said it was just that one scene,
but they work so well together in this movie. They have such a good time in this movie. And then Chris Evans.
Oh, Chris Evans is great because you hate him, then you like him, then you hate him again. It's like he can flip on a dime.
And the best part about it is that he's playing against recent type.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been spending the last 7 years playing, Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
So being able to do that, to switch out of that. He's fantastic. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that a giant chunk of this movie was filled out in our neck of the woods.
Yeah. Framingham, right?
Framingham, Marlboro, Clinton, Wellesley.
Yeah, because there was definitely spots where I'm like, that place looks familiar. Yeah,
and that's so the lab, the burned out lab used to be the DMV.
Oh.
In Marlboro. I took my first driver's test there and failed. Chris Evans is an amazing actor. It feels weird people only know him for Captain America. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a great introduction to him, and I feel like he can definitely do a lot more. But I'm really happy that he had this character.
Yeah, sadly, I think my first experience with Chris Evans was Not Another Teen Movie.
Same.
And he wore a whipped cream bikini in that one.
Yeah. He was also in, well, obviously he was Johnny Storm in the two Fantastic Four movies.
He was in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
That's true. He was also in Sunshine, which was a Danny Boyle film.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I never watched
So he's, definitely been around a long time. And because he's also local to the area, thanks to, our theater community, I'm within 6 degrees of separation of him.
Hey, that means I'm 7 degrees of separation with him.
Yeah, something around there. But yeah, it was so surreal. Like looking at the DMV in Marlboro, Route 20 in Marlboro, 62 in Clinton. And it was actually funny because when the first time we watched it, Autumn and I are watching this, and I'm like, okay, there's 62. And then she's like, nope, that's Wellesley. I don't think I saw Push.
I know of it. I've heard it, but I've never seen it.
So the first time we watched this, I probably told this story before. No, I definitely told you before. We were watching this, and I'm like, okay, so they're going from Clinton to Wellesley back to Clinton. And I jumped on Twitter and I'm like, hey, at Rian Johnson, I've been living in this area for almost 20 years. Where is the wormhole? And he responded back. He's like, "That is a trade secret. I'm not allowed to tell." Oh, it was like the greatest, like celebrity interaction I'd had on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's so funny watching all of that in the house. Every piece of that. But getting back to the overall puzzle pieces. That's what this is. This is a series of puzzles. What caused Harlan? What essentially were the circumstances that caused Harlan to kill himself?
Yeah.
There was a lot going on there. The fact that you could tell that he truly cared about Marta. He didn't want her in trouble. He didn't want her mother deported.
Yeah.
And oh my God, that scene in the hallway with Marta and Walt as he's explaining to her, we have the resource. We have the resources. We can hire the lawyers to get your mother a good immigration lawyer. And then she just stops and she's like, "Wait, but those are my resources now."
The way she flips that scene.
I love that.
And then just walks in and closes the door right in his face.
Well, and that's the funny thing too. Seeing Michael Shannon play against type, watching him be so pathetic.
Yeah.
And just so powerless, especially because, he runs the business end of the publishing company.
Yeah. That scene, like the scene where Harlan confronts him and basically says that, you're done. You're gone. Yeah. And just seeing just how after that, apparently he was just like, he shut down. He was out of the party. He was just completely lost in himself and his self-pity.
Yeah, exactly. That was a fantastic scene, but it's just what was fun watching Marta try to cover up her tracks, even though they weren't really her tracks to cover, as we find out. I was just give out strong Trump give, but that was great when Meg calls Walt's son a Nazi.
A masturbating Nazi.
Yes, a masturbating Nazi. Did you notice also that none of the Tremblays could get Marta's country of origin correct?
Oh yeah. Ransom kept calling her Brazilian. I think.
Richard kept saying she was from Peru.
I thought Richard said Uruguay.
No, Argentina. He thought she was from Argentina.
I think Joni might have said Uruguay.
Yeah, but they couldn't be bothered, even though they're still calling her a member of the family. She's like, well, she's like family to us. She's like family to us. Oh yeah, she's from her family's from Peru.
Yeah.
Which is
going back to another Arrested Development, it's just this whole family is just like the utter definition of white privilege.
Yeah. By the way, it was Lindsay Bluth.
Oh, good call. Thank you.
Right.
That means Walt would have been Job.
Yeah, Walt would have been Job. But after all, it's just a banana. What do they cost? $20. It was interesting too, like going back and looking at the cast list here, Captain America Gone Bad. Seriously, you got Captain America, you got General Zod. Sonny Crockett. James Bond.
Laurie Strode.
You got Laurie Strode, yep. So there's also one of the cops actually is...
Oh, yeah.
He's actually, he's a Rian Johnson guy. He shows up in all of his movies.
Lakeith Stanfield?
Not Lakeith Stanfield. No. Noah Sagan.
Wagner. Lieutenant Wagner?
Trooper Wagner.
Yeah. that was the part that got me laughing at the end. It's like, Trooper Wagner didn't do it. No, I'm calling him in.
He's got a. By the way, Noah Sagan has a great other character he plays in Glass Onion.
Okay.
So yeah, he's a, like I said, he's a Rian Johnson guy. He has shown up in all his movies, so he's also shown up in The Last Jedi.
And like I was like, when I saw Keith Stanfield, I was like, I recognized him, I just couldn't place him. And then I did look him up and Keith Stanfield, because the first place I'd seen him when it was Haunted Mansion, and he was fantastic in Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, he was also he was nominated for an Oscar for Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah, which I've never seen.
I haven't either, but I heard it's excellent. So overall, I mean, casting wise, this thing is great. Christopher Plummer, one of his final roles, is so good in this.
I mean, when has Christopher Plummer ever not been good?
True. I mean, come on, he even elevates like stuff like Dragnet.
Holy shit, he wasn't Dragnet.
He wasn't Dragnet. I think that might have actually been the first movie I ever saw him in was Dragnet.
Well, I mean, the first thing I'd ever seen him in was obviously Sound of Music.
Sound of Music, yeah.
But yeah, I'd seen Dragnet. I was like, why is Captain Von Trapp being a cult leader?
Yeah. Oh man, I haven't gone back and watched that movie in 30 years.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while either.
Yeah, boy, I'm sure it's aged.
Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, I'm sure it's aged well, especially that rap at the end. Overall, I just feel like this movie is just it's 3 acts of just some unbelievable storytelling, puzzle building, and the ending of this movie is so satisfying.
Yeah,
that everything kind of comes together.
Dude, I mean, just the final shot of all of them looking up at her on the balcony and her sipping that my house, my coffee, my rules.
Yep, and she's got everything covered except for my house.
Yeah,
great closing shot. But they bring back so many of the other stuff they talked about. The knives. You know, I don't know what's real and what's fake anymore. He's talking about his family, but he's also talking about those knives. So that coming back in the in for a penny, and in for a penny, in for a pound. And of course, Marta's inability to tell a lie. I find that was.
Yeah, honestly, when she's got the phone call and said that's good news, I'm like, she's gonna throw up.
Yeah.
At that point, even I knew, it was like, nah, Fran didn't survive. She's pulling a one last con to get him to confess up.
Yep. Speaking of great setups, also when Ransom takes Marta to the Flat Penny Grill, which interesting. So the last time I ate at the Flat Penny Grill was when Autumn and I went to go see Skyfall. It doesn't exist anymore, but
okay.
Yeah,
and honestly, I saw that. I'm like, is that the Bull Run?
No.
It's kind of that kind of interior thing.
It's right on the edge of 62, right in Bolton.
Yeah, I was just wondering if because the interior kind of looked very Bull Runish, very Old Millish, like one of those old New England restaurant type places.
Yeah, but it's a lovely, it was a lovely little place to stop before we go to a movie. But yeah, the whole thing with him, he just plied her with food that was going to make her throw up if she didn't tell the truth.
Oh,
well, you've just eaten a whole lot of sausages and beans. Here's the extra bowl.
I didn't quite understand why that was a thing. Thank you for clearing it up.
Yeah. No, he filled her with food in what you think is a moment of kindness. And all he wants to do is get the truth out of her of what happened.
Yeah. I did. I was completely surprised by this one because it feels so different than the majority of murder mysteries I've seen.
Yeah.
Like, because when I was out in California last year, Jonna and I, hi John, we went. Well, first she showed me both Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile on demand or on TV, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we went and saw Haunting in Venice together. So I've seen all of them. So I thought I knew how murder mysteries were going to go, and then this one just kind of flips around a little bit.
Right. It is because I mean everything like the Agatha Christie stuff, and we are going to be bringing Agatha Christie into our conversation this month. Really is the who done it.
Yeah.
You set up everything. Person is still alive though.
Yeah.
And then you know,
in all of them, you actually see. Well, no, not in the Haunting of Venice, but in like the other two, you actually see the murder take place.
Right, you don't see it. Well, you don't see it take place. You don't see who gets, who is the murderer. But you do get the setup. You see where the motive will happen, and then you're also left wondering who's going to be murdered. This Harlan is murdered straight off the bat. Fran finds his body.
Yeah,
and that kicks off the movie.
Yeah.
So
very well.
I felt like they worked really well with the flashbacks, with retelling the stories, little bits like that. The fact that Ransom's at you back again from Nana.
Yeah, I did not that I didn't pick up on that one the first time.
Right.
Of course, there's a lot of you pick up on the first time.
This is definitely some kind of movie you need to watch a couple of times. So you're like, oh
yeah.
I was blown away by how much I love this movie. It's just, I mean, it being filmed locally also is amazing. And I love Rian Johnson. So
I think this one did make a good amount of money in it. Budget of 40 million, pulled in 311.9.
Yeah.
I honestly think it might have pulled in more, but you had all this like whiny, Star Wars fan babies that were so last Jedi was so awful. I'm not going to go see this guy. He sucks as a director.
Right, and he actually got an Oscar nomination for this screenplay.
Rightfully so.
Interestingly, the funny thing about this is that Rian Johnson was nominated for original screenplay for this, and then adapted screenplay for Glass Onion.
Because the characters had already existed.
Had already been established, yep.
See, I don't like that. I don't.
Don't get me started because I was going to be bitching and moaning about the Barbie adapted screenplay nomination.
Just because you use existing characters does not mean that the movie itself is adapted.
Again,
no sense whatsoever.
This is the whole reason why I'm pissed at the way the Barbie nomination went.
Yeah.
But anyway, So I don't know. Is there anything else you have to say about Knives Out? Because other than just a chef's kiss. Oh, excuse me 1 second.
Oh, okay. If you haven't seen The Haunted Mansion, check it out. It's actually a really good movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely love it. Absolutely love this movie. I
remember
I went back and watched it a few months ago. I was just I haven't seen this movie in a while. And I'm just like, oh man, I do love this.
Although I was talking about Haunted Mansion.
Oh, Haunted Mansion. Oh, okay. Well, sorry, I was saying goodnight to my son. And then the cat came in and made a lot of noise. So, all the things. But yeah, no, I think that this movie's fantastic. Haven't seen it, and you're still listening to us. You already know how it ends up, but go watch it anyway.
I had rented it because I wanted to rent it before I go, spring the $14 or $15 to buy it. But if I do decide, when I get the hankering to watch it again, I'll probably just buy it outright.
Yeah.
Because
it's worth it. It's definitely one. This is also one of those movies too that while it did well theatrically, it is the kind of movie I feel like it's you're doing your due diligence by introducing new people to it.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a few movies like that, and this is one of them.
Hmm.
And every once in a while, it does pop up on Tubi.
Yeah. Or not to be.
So, anyway, that was Knives Out. Thank you so much for joining us. Kevin, thanks for commenting on tonight's show. I'm glad we could not disappoint because we were talking about that accent at some point.
And thanks, John, for watching as well.
Yes, excellent. And thank you, Jonna. And we want to know, what are your thoughts on Knives Out? Did you like it? Leave a play comment below. Let us know your thoughts on there. you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button because, you know, we do this every week. Also, give the video a big thumbs up because it does help us in the algorithm, and it really isn't that what's important. Tell your friends, too, because we do this a lot. We have an interesting spin on our movies, so we want to spread that love there. And if you like what you see, Mike and I do host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can check that out wherever you get your podcasts. We also pop the audio from that right into our YouTube feed as well. But if you prefer, you can use any of your podcast apps too. We're also on the socials on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast and at Geek Salad Radio on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Threads. So I think that's about it. And next week, we're going to continue this. We haven't discussed that yet. We'll do that once Mike stops the live button. We'll discuss what our next movie is going to be. But, yeah, we are going to be staying mysteries all month long. So,
yes.
With that said, until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful. We'll talk to you later.